Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on. It is another Wednesday. And hey, if this is your first MasterClass, we want you to make sure that you're involved, that you're part of this. So we ask you, to type stuff in the comments. So if you don't know how to do that, like I didn't know how to do that, figure that out. Thumbs up, emojis, all kinds of different things. But, this is just an hour that we can share, learn skills, and I love interaction. We always get tremendous input from a lot of different leaders, but guys, a leader is somebody that's just stepping and moving in a direction. And, you might be a team of one, but you're here to learn the skills where you're going to lead. So jump in and, I ask for people's input in different things. But last week we had, our class was on follow-up, follow-through, and just a lot of people had tremendous input in that. In fact, had a lot of people, asking, where can I watch that again? I want to get some of that stuff. So there is on YouTube. It's called MasterClass with Aaron Decker. My wife created that. So if you want to get on there, subscribe, and you can go through and watch some of these recordings. I know I do, because this isn't about me. This is about, me getting the conversation started and all of us learning and growing together. But we have a challenge at the end of every class. And so I'm curious, how many of you, and let's put a 1 in the comments, if you did the challenge from last week. I got to find my comment thing. That's going to be interesting. There it is. So if you did last week, put in a 1. Come on, surely somebody did the challenge from last week. Please tell me somebody did it. There's somebody that did. Tammy Cauldron did. Ryan did. Deborah did. All right. Some of you are probably going, oh, shoot, I forgot what it was. I don't know who OPPO is, but I'm glad you did the challenge. Anybody else? Boy, I was hoping this thing was going to light up with 1s. That's what I was hoping, because it was a good one. It was a good one. It was a good challenge. Anna, there you go. All right. So I'm going to ask Ryan. Ryan, would you unmute yourself, please?
Hey, Aaron. Yep.
How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. How about you?
Good. And if one of my co-hosts can spotlight him so we can see him, I don't know, maybe you can see him. I can't on my end. But Ryan, so the challenge was follow up, follow through, and it was following up and following through on either teammates, customers, new, old, inactive, active. Can you kind of share what you did and what your results were?
All right. So last week we had we scheduled a live Zoom with Dr. Ginger about the products. So days prior to, or a week or so prior to that, I invited some friends. And of course, after inviting them, the only way to make sure that they're going to be there is by following up with them. So what I did is every couple of days, rather, I just send them messages saying, hey, how are you doing? Because these are my close friends. Some of them are my close friends. And I just ask them, hey, how's it going? How's the job? And stuff like that, depending on who they are. And during the day, because it's the evening in our time when we had that Zoom with Dr. Ginger. During the morning, I just send them a message. Hey, see you tonight. If you're gonna be having some problems connecting to Zoom, just let me know so I can help you out. And then of course I just reiterate to them the importance of that Zoom. It's all about health. It's all about the products that I'm marketing, and they're gonna be enjoying it. So I'm giving them something to look forward to. Approaching the day, and as you mentioned last week, just be a good friend to them. Don't try to breathe down their necks, and then whenever they have concerns, uh, don't validate the concern, but just let them know that you understand. If they say, I don't think I can make it to the meeting because of this and this, and just be a friend to them. That's all I did, and I think that that generated results. So that's it.
Awesome. Did that? So after the Zoom, have you since then been able to follow through with anybody? Just curious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So after the Zoom, most of them, well, most of them, I say most of them because one of them, wasn't really talking during the Zoom. So most of them, they were really interested about the products. As a matter of fact, we're gonna be getting some orders. We're just waiting for them to finalize whatever products that they want to order. And one of them will be signing up as a brand representative. Of course, I'm doing the follow up every single, not really every single day, but every couple of days. That's how I schedule my follow ups. Yeah, it, it went well.
Now,
I
one more question. When you schedule your follow-ups, are you using some type of app, or are you using a piece of paper, a calendar? What is your method?
Google Calendar. I
Google
just
Calendar.
Google Calendar. I placed there. Of course, for example, they did a Zoom today. I'm gonna be placing their names after a couple of days in a single column in Google Calendar, and just make sure that my phone will pop out the reminder that I should be messaging this person or calling up this person at this hour or so. Yeah, so I just
Awesome.
Google Calendar. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And you guys, here's the thing, and we'll get into the topic for this week in a little bit, but follow through. And I love, Ryan, you brought up a really valid point that we actually really didn't talk about last week, which is following up with people before the event, right? Tammy talked about follow through, and Tammy is amazing at promoting events, and we'll have to actually use that as another topic sometime. But following up to remind people to show up either on a Zoom or at an event. And again, I love your tip there, Ryan, about giving them a little bit, guys, just a little bit to look forward to see if we can get them to follow through on their part and do what they said they were going to do by getting there. So fantastic. Love it. Let's see who else. Looks like the Brats. Can you guys unmute really quick? I'm hearing something.
Scott, did you call my name here? I'm outside.
I did. It looks like you put in a. Is that you guys put in a 1? You did some following through.
Can you hear me?
Yep. It sounds like you guys did some following up.
We actually reconnected with an old customer about a year ago. Just, where I said a couple of weeks ago about posts really matter. We kind of put a post out there about some stuff that we're doing, and she inboxed us, and we reconnected, and she put an order in. So
congratulations.
I think the whole, and I think the whole thing about that is, a lot of people, we put posts out there and think they're useless. People are watching. A lot of people are behind the scenes watching, and it works.
Love it. Congratulations. Who else we got in
Thank
here?
you.
Jeanne Herrmann. Can you unmute really quick?
Yes, sir.
And then I don't know. There you go. So Jeanne, follow through. I know you're really good at that. Can you kind of share from last week, maybe a result that did or didn't happen, or a process that you'd love to share with us from last week?
Sure. So what I did is,
as far as taking the challenge and following up and following through.
Yeah. So I'm quite consistent, as you know, in regards to my current brand partners and my customers, but we all have inactives. So I go through the inactives, and, like Ryan said, I reach out and call them and just say, hey, long time no talk, how's it going? How's the family? And, they sort of bring up in regards to, wow, I've been meaning to call you, and, I really can feel the difference since I haven't been using the product. And I said, oh, okay. Is there anything I can help you with? I actually had a cousin come over, and we started talking, and I said, hey, have you tried the new Elite? So I made one for her while she was at my house, and then I gave her a pack. And then I said, you know what? Have you ever tried the Lean Burn or the Blue Frog? And she's like, no. So I gave a sample. So she had like a care package of samples. And then next thing I know, she's called and she's like, did you notice? Like, I placed an order, and I said, yeah, I did. And she's like, that Blue Frog, I looked up the ingredients in Monster, and it's like awful. And then, only gives you 2 to 3 hours of energy. And that Blue Frog, it gave me like 6 hours or more. And next thing you know, I knew she had placed an order because I could see, but didn't know it was going to be a $400 order. So not only did she reactivate as a brand partner, but she placed a really nice order. And I actually did that with quite a few. So I'm going through all my inactive customers as well as brand partners because, things happen, life happens, whether it was finances or just life in general. And they all say, oh, I was meaning to call you. And so that was my follow up and follow through was with inactives. And it really helped.
Love it. You guys, that's gold right there. Imagine if all of us did that and we were consistent, just, maybe one a day, a couple, just depending on the size of your team, right? Because like Jeannie said, life happens to all of us and sometimes we get distracted. But interestingly enough, most times we actually believe that, oh, but they quit, they don't want this. But most times I find that you get a reaction, something like Jeannie says, but I've been meaning to call, and don't call them and say, hey, where have you been? You're inactive. Call them just like Jeannie said, and just kind of reconnect. And it's interesting because most of the time they'll come back to you and say, I've been meaning to, and I haven't felt as good as I would. And I love what you just said. Hey, have you tried this new thing or that new thing? And you guys, of course, we've got a lot of that stuff going on. So all of us can be doing that. So fantastic. That's gold. One more really quick. Miss Verna Brunner, can you jump on here, please?
I'm here.
There you are. First of all, congratulations on everything that you got going on. And I know you guys did an event. You've been doing several events. You got a lot of great stuff going on. So follow up, follow through from last week. Enlighten us, share with us. What did you find? Any good stuff that happened here in the last 7 days?
Well, lots of good stuff. I went back to my ad tag message group and ended up following up with some of those people, and that was awesome because I ended up getting 2 brand partners out of that. And yeah, and then
hey, hold on a minute. And I don't know if somebody can do the split screen thing that you guys were doing, but there you go. So just slow down for a second because you rolled right past. I followed up with an ad tag message group and I got 2 brand partners. When somebody says 2 brand partners, I want to know a little bit more about can you kind of, how do you do that? Like for some of us that aren't that familiar with ad tag message, how do you go in and find them and what did you do? Could you walk us through that really quick?
Okay, so what my normal thing that I do with ad tag and message is send them a message and let them know that that I'm part of a private group that I would like to add them to. And those particular ones were people that I knew had certain goals in mind, or they had some disease processes going on, or that kind of thing. And so that was my normal procedure to add them in. So I had seen one of the ladies at a shower. We didn't really get to talk. And I had seen the other one in town as well. And so I just went back and I called one of them and I messaged the other one. And so she's like, yeah, she'd been watching everything going on in Transformers. And, she never commented. So I didn't really know that she was watching it, but she was. So that's one thing that really made me try to be more aware that you don't know who's watching and who isn't, And so anyway, she was ready. So we found out what was best for her. And she said, well, if it worked as well for her as it had for me, that she was interested in doing the business as well. So got that all taken care of. And then I missed the other lady when I checked back with her. And so I just left a message, went about my business. And in the meantime, Whitney, there was the challenge about 20 a day for 90 days. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, but anyway, it's, reaching out to 20 people a day for 90 days. And so I committed to that. And I was a little nervous, but I just decided that bold was the word for me this year. So I just did it. And I did 20 every day. Anyway, it's crazy because what I did, normally I didn't add someone to ad tag and message unless I asked them first. And so in this particular situation, I just had a message that said, something like, hey lady, I'm really excited about a special group that I'm with. I'd really like for you to take a look at it. So I'm gonna send you an invitation, and if it's something you're interested in, then just click on the notification. And as soon as I see that notification come through, I'm going to tag you in some things. It's crazy how many people I really, really, truly didn't think would responded. And so they didn't respond. Some of them did directly to me, but most of them just accepted the invitation. And so out of that, it's just been really crazy. I'm working with several people right now. But anyway, on that other lady that I'd gone back to check on, she ended up messaging me while I was sitting at my store and said, I'm ready. I've talked to my husband about it. We're ready to come in. We're going to do the 28-day challenge. So I don't know. It works. Just follow up.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And you guys, isn't it interesting? Because Scott Brat said the same thing that Verna just said, which is in so many times, and it's going to lead right into tonight's topic, but so many times we don't realize who's watching, right? Verna, and you just proved that. And then also massive action, which is 20 a day, and not judging. By the way, that's tonight's kind of topic, not judging.
That is so important, as I can tell you, I did prejudge some of the ones that I sent it to in my mind. And, you know, I learned when I was working in another field that you always give the best case scenario and let them make an educated decision. And so I did so I tried to learn at that point not to prejudge, because, you know, an old cowboy would come in with his bumper tied to his truck, and I would think immediately he wanted his tooth pulled, you know. But I learned from the doctor that I worked for that you always give the best case scenario for that particular person, what would be the best for them, and then let them make the decision. So I did kind of learn a little lesson, and I tried to tell my team last night, just be bold. You know, don't decide for someone. Offer them that opportunity and let them decide.
Love it, love it, love it. You guys, it's almost like I planned this. It's almost like Verna and I just talked, and she just led us right into tonight. But seriously, tonight on my little notes here, it says, don't judge. And Verna, thank you so much. And again, congratulations on everything that's going on. So super proud of you. Guys, so I'm gonna just start off and talk a little bit, and then I'm gonna ask some people to interact. And we're just going to have some fun, because for me, I'm always constantly learning. That's what I love about this industry, this company, and even this class, if you will, is always learning and growing. And how many of us, and I'm going to ask you again, I'm going to ask everybody to participate. How many of you, and let's just type in a 2, if you've ever prejudged somebody, you're like, well, I'm not going to talk to so-and-so because they wouldn't be interested. They wouldn't be interested in what I got to offer. We should see 2s flying through here, right? Why? Why do we do that? What is it about all of us? By the way, I'm a 2 as well, right? Like, why do we consistently, even sometimes when we tell ourselves, I'm not going to judge, and then we're going to make some phone calls, and we're like, well, that person wouldn't be interested. I had many conversations here in the last 48 hours with people, and this kept coming up. That's why we're talking about it tonight. And I'm guilty of it again as well. So never think that I'm any better than anybody, because I'm not. We're all the same. And that's one of the neat things about this class. We realize, wait a minute, everybody's got the same stuff. So we judge people. Why do we judge people? How many of you, I'm curious, have an active list of people that you were planning on connecting with? And you can comment on that, but you've got an active list. I suggest, if you don't, that you do, and I suggest that it's on a piece of paper and it's not in your phone. There's something magical about putting it on a piece of paper, having the ability to scratch and make notes. There's something about that. But how many of you, if you do have one of those lists, have found yourself where you're like, okay, I'm going to make calls. I'm taking massive action. Today's the day. You know, this is the time I'm going to do it. You sit down, you get all ready, you look at your list. And instead of going at the top and working your way right down through it, maybe you said, hey, I'm going to make 10 phone calls. I'm going to make 5 phone calls. I'm going to make 50 phone calls, whatever that is. You look at the top and you're like, and you start to scan down and think to yourself, have you ever done this? And think, which one is the, oh, I'm breaking up, I'm sorry. Which one is the easiest one for me to call? and I hope I'm not breaking up too bad. I apologize if I am. Which one is the easiest one for me to call? You ever done that? I've done it. In fact, recently I've done it. But also then, have you ever then got to a point where you're like, why am I worried about that? You guys, and this is the magic. And then you say, I'm just gonna, for me, those calls that I put off, I'll have today's a hard call day. And they're not really hard calls. I just made it up in my mind that it's a hard call day. And I take those hard calls, you guys, and I just start to call them. First of all, they're never hard. Second of all, they typically go better than I could have ever possibly hoped or dreamed for. Third, it gives me the confidence to just continue to make the calls. And those could be new calls, follow-ups, follow-throughs, whatever that is. It just sets in motion this, like, why was I ever afraid to make the call? Ashley Paulson, I saw you jump on here, and Ashley, you've absolutely been crushing it. So super proud of everything that you're doing. You're an inspiration to a lot of us, but Ashley, would you mind maybe sharing and elaborating a little bit kind of your experience? Have you gone through any of that? Maybe you haven't. And if you haven't, teach us what you're doing to not go through there. If you have, maybe share with us what you do to get through that.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Oh, goodness. I most definitely have done this. And especially over the last 6 years, I think a lot of it is we tend to prejudge, but we kind of get in our own heads, right? Where we get nervous about a no. And I think we all go into the expectation of thinking everyone's going to be a yes. And when we think that person might be a no, we kind of step back a little bit. And so something that I always try to do is just expect that everyone's going to say yes, but also not get discouraged if they do say no, right? And a lot of things too is people on my chicken list. That was a big thing for me. Chicken lists are people who obviously have a lot of influence, who are successful, who are busy.
I lost her. Is it me?
She's coming back into the waiting room. She's coming back in.
I'm not quite sure what happened.
Okay, there you go. Perfect.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. It just said I was getting reconnected in. So a lot of people with influence, right? And so, you think of, Dr. Ginger, Dr. Crystal, you think of all these people, but when you think about it, those are people who are successful in this business, and they're successful because they are busy and they do have a lot of influence, and they do, and so why do we get so scared? And I myself have been guilty, especially lately. Like, why do I get so much in my own head when that person could be that next gold nugget, right? And so I think a lot of it is we just need to get out of our own way and get out of our own head. And obviously, those chicken list people, like you said, focus on a hard day. Not every day is going to be easy, but if you do kind of focus on those people, you really never know where to lead. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that, I guess.
I love it. And you know what? Here's what I just picked up that to me is gold, what you just said. Many things, but one thing stood out to me, you guys. And I wish I had a pen. I'm going to go back and watch this so I can write this down, which is, and this is brilliant, Ashley. You guys take a minute and write down. I mean, like right now, hopefully you've got something to write with and write on. What I would do is I would take a moment right now and write down the Dr. Crystals, the Tammy Maltbys, the Dr. Gingers, and the Dr. Ray Strands, and think of there's so many other people. Mark Lewis owns an insurance company. Richard Tuggle, 6 businesses. Start to go through, and you guys forgive me. I can't see anything on my iPad, so I certainly am not intentionally leaving anybody out. But what I'm saying is write down people. Chris Doyle, right, owner of a huge manufacturing business. Write down people that are business people that probably were on somebody's quote unquote chicken list or hard list, whatever you want to call it. I would write down 6, 8, 10, 12. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to give the credit to Ashley. When I go to make calls anytime, when I pull out my list, I want to have that list of these successful new age brand partners that would have probably been on my chicken list, that would have probably been somebody that I was skipped over. And I firmly believe when I look at that list and I get in my head before I go through my other list to make my calls, I'm just going to bet you guys that that's going to give you more confidence to make the call because of what Ashley said, which somebody made that hard call, and look at the success that they're having in this business. I want to be the one that made that call. And I bet you do too. So that to me, that is gold. I know Amy Summers, you're on here. Amy, I'd love to hear some of your input just as it pertains to judging people. And Amy, I know, in your previous life, you were at the top of your game selling and traveling and doing that stuff. And somebody reached out to you, maybe either elaborate on that or maybe elaborate on, some people that are, people that you may or may not have connected with, but you did or didn't do that.
Yeah, I can. And so when I was introduced to this, so you guys, I was on somebody's chicken list. So I'm just going to give you this example. So very successful in my corporate job, traveling, corporate. I've been with that company for 18 years. And so I would have not been somebody that people would bring this to. As a matter of fact, I was kind of this person kind of like, yeah, one of those things, like really, and that's just how I treated it. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'd never done anything in networking before. And I want to give you this example. So there was a group of ladies that kind of had an inner circle, and we all had a football. Our boys at that time played little league football together. All right. And one of the football moms came up to me, and I will tell you, I love what Verna said. She was bold. Do you guys ever see the crazy moms at the football games? Like they are back crap crazy. Okay. Like they're like, what? They're like, they are bold. They do not care what they're going to say. This mom had been kicked out of little league football games. She'd been kicked out. So when I say bold, like this girl was bold. Okay. But she was bold enough to come up to me and was like, listen, this guy's coming to town and you need to take a look at it. And I'm like, what? And that's what I said to her. And you guys, I'm bold too, right? I'm a very strong woman. And I was right back at her. I've never been got kicked out of a football game, but I'm just as bold back. And I said to her, so what that thing cost you? I just want to give you this scenario, okay? Because I want to talk about boldness. And at that time, that company was $2,500 to get it. I'm like, what? I'm like, and that's exactly what I was like. We were on the football field. I'm like, you're crazy. I said, you are crazy. I was like, somebody scammed you. And I said, and even if I was interested, I was like, you're never gonna get Chantilly to spend $2 on one of those deals. All right. He thinks they're all scams, they're illegal. Remember, he's a state trooper, right? That's exactly what I told her. She was bold right back to me. Not like egotistical. She's like, well, just give me an educated no. Like, Amy, I got involved. Okay, so, but here's successful Amy. So this is what I want you to think about, right? Successful Amy, I'm a business person, whatever. In the back of my mind, I'm really thinking like, gosh, I can't believe Danielle got involved in this. So my curiosity was piqued, right? And she's like, hey, Carrie's involved too, which was the head football coach's wife. I'm like, really? So long story short, you guys, her boldness changed my life. Okay, if she would have been scared, all right, and if I would have barked and I came back at her like, $2,500? Now think about that. What if if that's the rebuttal to you, $2,500? Somebody scammed you. Would you lock and freeze? Or would you be bold back and say, I know how you feel. You just need to take a look at it and give me an educated no. Because people are smart, you guys. Okay, they're not little kids. And thank God, I thank God every day that she was bold back. Because if she was scared and would have went running with her tail between her legs, guess where I'd be? Unhealthy, working Monday through Friday, credit card debt, not debt free like we are today, I thank her every day for saying, will you give me an educated no? And her having the kahungas to walk in my house and tell me that, right? All right. So there's kind of an example of a chicken list and somebody coming back I got a pretty strong personality. So that's my 2 cents.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Miss Sonia Enfinger, would you mind unmuting?
Hello, Aaron. How are you, sir? Mastermind guru yourself?
I am not a guru by any stretch, but I tell you what, I love learning from people, and we all get to learn. Now, Miss Sonia, it's not like you guys were hurting for any income, and you are bold all the time, but I'd love kind of your input on what we're talking about tonight, which is people not judging, and maybe look at it from the perspective of somebody that shared it with you, because somebody could have easily judged and said, hey, you financially don't need this, but also you have quite a list of people that you go and share this with, and I don't believe that you do much judging yourself. Would you kind of share with all of us kind of what goes through your head and how you handle it from both sides?
Sure thing. Well, thanks so much for asking for the opportunity to speak. I actually was not approached. Kim Gray was at a women's Christian event, a 3-day little conference that I went to in Coleman, Alabama, and I happened to see her there. It was her very first event without having Jerry and Todd with her. She and Eric, her husband, were there. They had a little booth set up, and I was there supporting the lady and her husband that had just acquired this church. And actually had a wonderful opportunity to go to Israel with them. Another story, I'll tell you about it over a glass of wine. It was fabulous. But I had gone there, and Kim Gray and Eric were there, and they had their little booth set up. Well, there were other girls that had items to sell. They had hats and scarves and shoes and cute little booths set up. Well, I wasn't interested in any of those items because Kim Gray had a picture of herself. She had product on the table. She talked about how much energy she had and how much better she felt losing the 65 pounds at the time. And that is what I was most interested in. So I said, well, what are your top 3 items that you have to sell? And she told me, of course, the transformation pack. I put the credit card down and I said, I'd love to have the 3 things. She followed up with calls. And if she had not been there her first day and was bold and brave to stand there by herself the first time alone without Jerry Halsey, who actually introduced it to her daughter, as most people know the story, she then, if she had not been there, I would not have been introduced to it myself. The same thing as the speaker before. And I'll say to you that you never know who's looking. You never know who's asking. You never know who's seeking. And the reason I guess I'm so bold and brave about it is that it is something that has changed my life personally. I know the products are so good. The quality of the products are there. All the due diligence has been there. All the founders have done their work before I came on board 9 years earlier. And so them being in the PDR, the physician desk reference, of course, everybody knows the ones that we have that are there for us to be able to quantify how great they are. The results that each person gets, it's easy to sell it and approach other people that are your chicken list. And I don't have anybody on my chicken list. And the reason is because I know the quality of the products that we have. So I too am pretty bold and brave about it and don't have a problem with introducing it to really anybody because I know what we have in our hand. And what I say, it's an absolute treasure and a gift that we're offering other people. And so that's the mind shift, I think, that I would let people have a takeaway with.
So would you mind, maybe not by name, but by profession, just go through a list of some professions maybe or professionals that you've shared this with? Doesn't even matter the result. To me, it's all about the exposure. It's never about the result. Because if you're willing to do the exposures, you'll always get the result. But would you just kind of go through off the top of your head, just some professions or occupations of people that potentially could end up on somebody's quote unquote chicken list, but that you've absolutely approached?
Absolutely, sure. Well, my previous engagement in life and profession was a physical therapist for 25 years. I was a physical therapist director at one of our hospitals. And so I actually retired to have our 13-year-old son. And so the connections that I've had are pretty broad. And so I actually tried to decide who in the world I needed to go talk to first, because I wanted everybody to have such great product and feel as good as I felt. And so I actually reached out to a pain clinic here in our Huntsville area, and Dr. John Roberts has signed up. He may be on the call, I hope so. And then all of the other 4 doctors in his practice, they all signed up. I also talked with our county commissioner. He's on board, and his wife, and they're a brand partner. I talked to a councilwoman, Frances Akridge. She's taken the product. She just brought another box of MOA. And so she started off with a few things. She didn't need to lose weight, but just trying to be healthy. Speaking with lawyers, I've actually got several target lists. I was asking my husband tonight, I said, do you know so-and-so? And he said, I don't, but I know so-and-so that knows so-and-so. And so I've already got his number, and he's on my list for tomorrow. And I guess I'll take it back to one of the statements that was stated earlier. So I look at it as a missed opportunity for anybody that you don't ask. It's an absolute missed opportunity for that person not to know about it. So giving them the information and letting them make a sound decision and a good judgment call on if they want to do it or not is your goal and mission. And so however you want to weave it into your conversation is what I always listen for, the ask, and the power is in the ask. That was my talk in Jackson, Tennessee, when I was asked to speak this past weekend. So the takeaway is the power's in the ask, and nobody's too good to ask, because everybody's searching for something. Energy, reduction of weight, inflammation reduction, and or, of course, residual income.
Absolutely love it, you guys. And I hope, again, either you're going to rewatch this and listen to some of because this is all gold. To me, this is gold, right? I mean, writing some notes down, writing some of those occupations, writing down and saying, wait a minute, she was bold enough. I love that word, by the way. It's kind of a theme tonight, isn't it? That just popped up, being bold. She was bold enough to just go ahead and ask all these people. And because she was willing to ask, she got a result. Now, not everybody says yes, but you guys look at the people that are saying yes, right? Don't worry about the ones that aren't. It's just a timing issue in their life. And they just don't have the priority for better health or better finances right now. And that's okay. But what if somebody wouldn't have asked somebody? And then the other thing that I picked up from what Miss Anya just shared is, it's not always about you. And this is another theme, and we've heard it from several speakers, which is you never know who's watching, but you also never know who may approach you. Meaning, what does that mean? So I've watched many of you set up a booth at an event, somewhat like what Kim Gray did, right? And you may think, oh, or I might, or somebody else might just say, oh, those things never work. Well, better be careful what we say, right? Because you never know. But you guys, if you and I aren't open, if people don't know what we do, basically all it was, here's what I do. Here's my advertisement. In that case, it was a booth with a picture, right? And the right person, Sonia, was at the right place at the right time. And you guys, we have to always be prepared for when those things intersect, and they can happen more often than not. Hey, I'm going to ask you this question right now. Is there anybody that's listening to this that has a question or maybe has struggled with this area that would like to ask a question? Just type it in. You know, if you like the topic tonight, but you're like, well, yeah, but that's for this person or that person, or I struggle with this or that. This is the time to ask your questions. And man, we've got a lot of experts on here. And I know I personally got a lot out of tonight so far, but do any of you type it in the chat if you've got a question or you struggle with something? And I hope I'm able to see this stuff. Somebody just type something in there just so I see if I'm looking at everything right. And Amy, if I'm missing a question, because I don't know. Nope, somebody said great value. That's good. Okay. Target list, not chicken list. Okay, I'm seeing some good stuff now. All right. If not, you guys, or if you think of a question, type it in there so I can see it. Meantime, I'm going to ask another couple, and I know I ask them a lot, but they just continually each and every week are just persistent, consistent. Just hit a title of senior officer here last week. It wasn't just a few weeks ago, hit the title of officer. How can we get banners for booths? I'll answer that, Susan. There's several ways, but you can always call customer support and they can connect you to our marketing department and they can give you some stuff for that. Yeah, Kim, why don't you go ahead and unmute and ask a question? Kim Meyer, it looks like.
Hi, Aaron. So
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So I just joined up and I'm actually doing a call with John and Antoinette tomorrow night. So I'm inviting people to that. But in looking at my list, so I have different things that I'll say for different people, but a lot of people, they're more like just probably, and I'm prejudging a little bit, but I would feel more comfortable just, I guess. So here's my question. Would it be okay, or I mean, if you think it would work, just for me, there's some people on my list that I would just feel more comfortable calling and saying, hey, I just started a new business. I'm really excited about it. I'd love to share it with you. And I'm doing a call tomorrow night to introduce people to it. You know, something along that line, maybe not that exact verbiage, but I would just feel like I'm announcing I'm starting a new business and I'd love for them to see it.
So the answer is, for me, is always yes. One thing that I always teach people is be the best version of you. Don't try to be anybody else. So whatever you're most comfortable with is going to tend to work better for you, right?
Right.
The thing that, you know, and if you want to say but I would fit in there. I would love your support. You know, would you be willing to jump on? It may or may not be for you, but
right.
But I'd love your support because you might know somebody that can benefit or that I could help. So,
yeah,
so I might use some kind of verbiage like that.
That's exactly what I wrote down, but I didn't read it obviously when I said it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But again, you guys, and this is just my opinion, but it's easier for me to teach somebody to be the best of them than try to teach you to be somebody else. Because if you're trying to be somebody else, people are going to pick up on that, right? The people that you're going to invite, typically, especially when you're going to launch your new business, are people that you know. And if you start to come across something different, then they pick up on that, right? And they think, okay, why are you acting or talking different? What's, you know, I don't know, that's weird. But if you're just excited and they're like, oh, she's talking just like she'd always talked to us. Sure. Why would I not want to support my friend?
Right.
Right. So absolutely, that's what I would do. And you couldn't be connected to a better couple. I mean, they're absolutely amazing.
I agree.
So thanks for the question. And absolutely. And you are going to love the journey you just started. That's what I can promise you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So that leads us right into John and Antoinette. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on what we're talking about prejudging people, chicken lists, any of that kind of stuff. Because, you know, you guys weren't always fearless, and maybe you're still not totally fearless, but enlighten us on some of the stuff that you guys go through.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned the hard way because I still remember to this day that, and this is many, many years ago, of course, this is not with New Age, but I had this one person who was a customer that would always come into where my shop was. And, you know, I talked to this lady and she drove a beautiful car, talked about having a mansion and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, you know what, I'll get to her later. And my coach, who I had not been listening to as well as I had or I should have, he kept saying, that's the one you need to talk to. And that's why I'm telling everybody this, because they told what he said to me is what you're saying. And I said, oh, I know, and I will. Well, I waited, and this is back in the days where, and they still do this, I think even with New Age, but we used to have meetings at the Holiday Inn, and it was every Tuesday night. Well, I waited and waited and I waited, and I thought, I'll talk to her next week. I'll talk to her next week. I'll talk to her next week. So I show up on this Tuesday night, and about 3 rows over from me is this lady. And it hit me. Wait a minute, I didn't invite this lady to this meeting. Well, this is painful, but she went on to become a multi-six-figure in the industry, but I didn't invite her. I didn't ask her because I was afraid she was on my chicken list. And I learned that lesson. And it's really just stepping out on faith, stepping out on realizing what you got your hands on. If, you know, my coach used to say this to me, say, look, if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for everybody else. And he said, you've got to really start believing in you. And when I started to believe in me, and it didn't happen overnight, but what really helped me was getting on calls like this, getting around the people. Because what I find usually happens is when people start to go the other direction, they get on less calls. And my coach said, no, that's the time you need to get on more calls. So it's all about association. It's all about plugging into people like Aaron Decker and Whitney Johns, Amy Summers, and anybody that's in your upline. Because when you do that, you're going to win. But it's not always going to be like overnight. But if you know why, then you'll survive anyhow. You want to share anything with that?
Oh, the one thing I'm going to share is I'm going to echo off of what Ashley Paulson said. And this is one of the best things I ever learned was to detach yourself from the outcome.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think people set themselves up with such a high expectation, and we typically all start with our close friends, family, people that we know, and we think that they're going to say yes, they're going to come on board, they're going to be a customer. And when we get turned down by the people we know the most and they're closest to, initially, it really kind of hits our ego, and it hits us, upside the head, and we start questioning ourselves, and we start doubting ourselves, and it's hurtful, it's painful. This profession will kind of rip you wide open.
Yeah.
But if you can get through that, and again, like John said, if you know your why and why you're doing what you're doing, and you're strong enough to push through all of those and not allow yourself to attach yourself to a no from whoever that no comes from, you'll win in this. Kim, who just spoke, we talked to Kim a couple months ago, and guess what? Kim told us,
at that time she said
no. Kim told us no. And we were like, okay, we're here.
We're here for you.
We're still here. Like, we didn't say, oh, we didn't unfriend her. We didn't put her on a blacklist and be like, we're never talking to her again. We were like, okay. And then she reached out just week or whatever ago. And was like, she wanted to get started. We were like, oh, so it came completely out of the blue. Again, people are watching.
Yep, people are watching.
We didn't get attached to the no.
Yep.
We were just like, okay, and we kept moving forward. And then all of a sudden, she came back because she is drawn to this profession.
I love what Sonia said here. She said, it's a gift you're offering. And see,
Yes.
that was something I never really got in the beginning, because I used to think, oh, they're doing me a favor.
Mhm.
And as long as you think that people are doing you a favor for signing up, you won't talk to those people. But when you realize you're actually giving them the gift, it could be a gift of life. It could be a gift of financial freedom. It could be just about anything. But when you believe it, they'll hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's what makes the difference.
Absolutely love it, love it, love it. You guys, this is gold. I mean, this is gold stuff. Hey, we got time for one more. Miss Robin DEMIO, are you here? I saw you earlier. Are you somewhere where you can unmute really quick?
I'm here. Yep. Hi.
How you doing, girl? I'd love to hear some of your input on our topic tonight, because I know that you have no fear. You're absolutely incredible, and you've approached and you built a huge team. Can you share and give us some of your wisdom?
Oh my gosh, I don't know about no fear, but one thing I do know is if you know what's in your hand, like if you know one person's story, just one person that has had some kind of success, whether that's in a health transformation or a financial transformation, or even in a community transformation, then you have a success story and you know this business works. And I think so many times we're afraid to offer it because we have doubts ourselves. Maybe we're doubting, somebody said in the chat here a little bit ago that it's good to be on here because we know that, gosh, we're not the only ones that feel like we suck. I mean, that's not what they said, but we all feel like that at some point. Aaron, I know you have felt that way before.
Absolutely. I still get like that.
I tell you, it's really true. And so a couple of things I run my business a little bit different. I pray a lot, and I know you do too, Aaron. but I run my business really, I talk to God a lot, and I say, okay, who am I supposed to talk to? And you know, my most recent brand promoter, she just signed up last week. She has been on, like, coming to my mind for me a year. I've known her for 20, and successful businesswoman. She is, you know, most of you probably think, oh, I'm not intimidated by much, right? But I've been a little intimidated by her just because I've known her a long time. We used to be in ministry together, and she's very successful in business, as well as her husband is extremely successful in business. So we've been in communication, not a lot, but every time I say, okay, God, who am I supposed to talk to? And her name comes up, and I'm like, shoot, dang it. You know, okay. And so finally one day last week, I just got fed up and I said, all right, I'm just going to call her. I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to get it over with, because I don't even know why I would call her. Like, I don't know if she's in great health. They got a lot of money, you know, who knows why. So anyway, I said, hey, I sent her a message. Hey, would you give me a call? I got something I really want to talk to you about. Sure. She calls me up, and I just said, okay, I'm just going to shoot you straight here. She's one of those girls, you know, just give it to me straight. Don't give me any bull. So I said, all right, your name keeps coming up for my business. I don't know if you need something for health. I know that your husband has had a difficult time during COVID in his work. Now, he's a very successful man in fiber optics. And so anyway, long story short, I said, would you just be open to listening? So I thought, I'm not going to put her on a big informational call. I'm just going to put her on a introduction call. But I knew that I'm playing with big time here. So I'm not going to put her on with somebody who doesn't know their stuff and who's not bold. So I just called Rick Redford. And so Rick and I went on a call with her. I mean, seriously, 2 days. First, she was like, yeah, you know, I don't really know why I would do this. But by the time I got her on the second call, she's like, you know, I think the grace for my current business is running out. I think I want to do this. She signed up, Ultimate Pack, bam, just like that. Lesson. I had someone else currently in RX, contact me. And they said, I have been working on her husband for a year. And you signed him up. How do you know these people? I said, I'm telling you, it was God, really. It was a God thing. Just like, I think it was John and Antoinette said, if you don't do it, somebody else will, and you will be sorry. You will be sorry. You'll kick yourself so far, you know, really. Okay, another situation. My brother, you know, he's a businessman, but he's not really, you know, he's not like, you know, really loud and vivacious like I am. But, you know, he's got a weight issue. And he came to visit me and he said, yeah, the doctor told me I'm 1% away from being morbidly obese. I have never offered this business to him on any level for 6 years, nothing. His wife, however, is a business person, and she will talk to anybody about anything, anywhere, anyhow. So I said to him, you know, I cannot morally sit here and let you tell me the doctor told you that you are 1% from being morbidly obese, and I have something to offer you. I can help change your life, and I can't morally stand by. Now, whether you choose to take it or not is your business. So they said, okay, well, let's get on a call. And I gave them the information. They enrolled right away as brand partners. She is going gangbusters. They've lost 17 pounds in, I think, 5 weeks. She's going crazy. The wife is, my sister-in-law, he's just being happy, losing weight. And it's changing their life. I got all teary-eyed because I thought, I could have saved his life. I could have saved my brother's life. And so when you know what you have in your hand, just like Sonia said, if you know what you have in your hand, you will not be afraid. You just do it. Get the damn phone in your hand and do it. Don't hold back. It's your responsibility. You've been given this opportunity for a reason. It is to change people's lives. It's not so you can go, oh, I wonder how bad I suck at this. Oh my gosh, what are they going to think of me? Really? Really? I mean, you can change someone's life. You could save someone's life. My friend that's the businesswoman, her business is starting to go down. They're multi-millionaires. I didn't think they needed the money. I mean, they live on a house over the cliff, right? I don't live in a house over the cliff, but I know what I have. And I was bold, just like Amy said, you have to be bold and you know what you have in your hand, because we do have the best. We have the best. I've seen it. I've been around for 36 years. I've been in this industry, never was successful until I came to this company. So I want to encourage you guys, don't be afraid. And if you are afraid, go find out why, because that's about you. That's about junk going on inside your own head. You know, my confidence is down. You know, maybe I'm not pretty enough, or maybe I'm not, loud, and maybe I'm not like Aaron, who's a superstar. Maybe I'm not like this or that. It doesn't matter, because you can reach so many of your own people that I won't be able to reach, or that Aaron won't be able to reach, or that Amy can't reach. You have your own sphere of influence, and there are people begging on their knees to God, please help me, Lord. I need something to help me change my life. So that's my 2 cents. It's been
Absolutely.
a great and awesome thing. Thanks for letting me speak.
You betcha. And you guys, I tell you what, again, this is gold. I hope you're going to go back. I hope you're going to listen to this. I would suggest that you have your teammates go back and listen to this. In fact, so we're going to do the challenge this week. The challenge is going to be get over it, right? Remember the old Eagle song, get over it? So here's the challenge for those of you that are willing to accept it. And I hope all of you do, even those of you that are bold. Pick just at least one. Now for you overachievers, maybe you do them all. But if you've got somebody that you've been thinking of, somebody that's on your quote unquote chicken list, somebody that's on your, it's too hard to call list, somebody that's the most successful person that you've been putting off, whatever that type of person or that list is, be bold this week, be bold and follow up, or not even follow up, but contact that person. Be the best you that you can be. And again, go back, listen to what Robin said, go back and listen to what the other speaker said. In fact, I suggest you listen to this video, have the names and numbers of the people that you're going to call. And as soon as this is done, just call them, because you're never going to be more inspired or more bold than after listening to all these incredible speakers. So, hey, we love you. We appreciate you. You guys, if you've got value out of tonight, give some love to all of the people that shared with you tonight. And I personally want to thank each and every one of you. We love you. We appreciate you, you guys. You can do this. Be bold. God bless.